Welcome everyone to the analysis stream. My name is Sladgy and my window is not appearing. There it is. Okay. So, free lesson. What's up, Mr. Coffee? I see you're online. Don't try to hide from me. And alright. So we're starting analysis stream Thursday, and the bad news just keeps coming. You know, no Asterbait, no news about him. He looks gone. What else? We've lost a lot of viewers, like not just viewers, but like contributors, patrons. Mr. Slow had a problem. Richard Brenton isn't coming. I don't know what happened with him. He hasn't been online in like a month. All of our patrons are gone, Mr. Coffee. By the way, funny story in the news, not funny, but there's a story in the news. One U.S. Congresswoman was asking why, J.D. Vance is planning to visit Hungary next week, just before the Hungarian elections. And I agree, it's outrageous. There's like a war in Iran, and J.D. Vance is visiting Hungary to like support the oligarchy here, the autocracy here. But the funny thing I'm thinking was, remember how the Pope and Epstein both died shortly after a visit from J.D. Vance. So there's always that, look at things optimistically, a visit from J.D. Vance could be a good thing. No. I'm just thinking, think about what he's done in the past. He makes people just like drop dead. All right. Anyway, it's always like, is the glass half full or half empty? But yeah. So what's up? So we've got an analysis stream. Usually I do Asterbait's game first, but there is no Asterbait anymore. It makes me sad because he was like a little puppy dog who came to the stream and was always there, you could always count him always being there, the first chatter in the stream. It's been over 9 years, and it's very strange, and I just hope that he can come back, Alright, so since we don't have Asterbait, we have other options. Mirales has sent me a game. Sun Prism has sent me a game. I have an opening I would like to share and maybe analyze with you guys. And also every week I've been introducing a master game. And lately I was doing games by Bent Larson. So I've got another Bent Larson game against Quinteros from 1973. Not going to make that the stream title. That doesn't seem to bring in viewers. So like, oh, that's boring. Analyzing chess games is boring. Okay. Let's pretend we're making TikTok videos. No. I'm going to try to open the window here before we get started. It was raining earlier, but there's no oxygen. And Mr. Coffee, you've been a bad chess student. You need to get yourself in gear, get a senior tournament or something going on. We need some games, so Mr. Coffee got to get on it. All right, I got a lot of friends online. Not too many of them are in here. At least I still have some friends. All right, so we got. How should we start this? We start with Morales, or we start with Larson. Start with Morales, like that's a warm up. I got really bad brain fog. I didn't sleep well this week. My kids are having like fights. 2 days in a row, I woke up in the middle of the night after sleeping not enough. All right, so this is Morales with Black. He's rated 1948. His opponent is 2204. This is a blitz game, and I prefer to analyze longer than blitz games. Better quality. It seems that Morales doesn't have time to play Really, he doesn't come to my Tuesday tournaments much. Seems he just doesn't have time, Mr. Coffee, to play longer than 3-0, which is sad, but I understand. I sort of understand. Alright, so Morales is black. It's Nimzo. And Morales has changed his repertoire. When he first started coming to my stream, he was playing the Budapest Gambit all the time. And I did say that I think it's playable, but, risky and not best. And I would kind of make fun of him a little bit for the Budapest Gambit. I don't know if that's why he changed, but he's become more sounder in what openings he's played. So playing the Nimzo is one of the sounder options for black. And I think more interesting than the Queen's Gambit because it's not a symmetrical structure. Okay, boom, we got some notification. Wow. Health bar roll mops. Health bar roll mops! How did you know it would be enough? Health bar roll mops. What a smart move. It is your game, Antonio. I'm just starting. Health bar roll mops. Realize Mr. Coffee. Oh, Mr. Coffee, your health bar. Oh no, the kiss of death. Mr. Coffee, I forgot to tell you your health bar was about to go. Oh no, that was Mr. Coffee's last 505 health points. And Roll Mops is now. So Health Bar Roll Mops is now the stream boss. Mr. Coffee's been defeated. You had a chance to regain health there. Last night I was like, where's Mr. Coffee? He needs to get himself some more health. But you weren't here. And Roll Mops took the opportunity to knock you off. So now Roll Mops is stream boss with 4,800, I think. We start with 40, odd number. I don't know why it's set on 4,800. 4,800 health bar. Congrats to Roll Mops. Thanks for joining us. Zeus is here. So, thanks again. $5 donation for Roll Mops. New health bar. New stream boss. Congratulations, new boss. This is Morales. He's playing the Nimzo. Knight f6, e6. What I like about this move order for black and the Nimzo in general is the flexibility that you really preserve or have in the opening in terms of how many different pawn structures and plans you can play. I think the thing I love about the Nimzo the most is its incredible flexibility. So any kind of pawn structure that you can imagine can almost be played. I heard Bullet is really good for chess improvement. That's a good one. Didn't hear it here. So, actually yesterday we had an F3 Nimzo. I've been seeing a lot of F3 Nimzos lately. I talked a little bit, and actually, Gobble Roll Mops, can you remind me? You played Queen B3 Nimzo, didn't you? Somebody played, we didn't know who they were, 316 or something? Some account 316? Why am I there now? You didn't know that? Oh my god. You didn't know that? Why am I there now? I did not want that. Oh no. Gobble Roll Mops, you're serious? You didn't know you'd be the stream boss once you defeated? You become, it's like King of the Hill. Oh no, he didn't want that. Gobble Troll Mops, did you play F3 against the Nimzo? Or am I just imagining that? Yeah, so, alright. This is one of White's most aggressive moves. F3 and Queen C2 are both moves that, and I would say, okay, also like Bishop G5. The moves that fight for control of E4, in this case there are three of them, Queen C2, F3, and Bishop G5, are the most aggressive options. Morales says he thinks E3 is best. E3 is a very modest move, and it was considered the main line for many, many years, but it's subtle. I think that it's honestly very subtle. It's too subtle for most players. So, it's not popular compared to the others, Queen C2, F3. Um, but f3 is what I want to say about it. It's a great move if you're extremely well prepared and you are a strong player, both strategically and tactically, and you can calculate in sharp positions because the position's likely to be sharp. Your king may remain in the center for an extended period of time. It's vulnerable this diagonal and sometimes on the e file. So this variation is not recommended to people who are A, not good at calculating, and B, fairly strong, i.e. at least 1800 or above. But nevertheless, it's extremely popular. Now, Morales castled here, which I don't recall if I've ever played that. Now, wait. Castles allows white e4 without a fight, really. I mean, almost any reasonable move here is possible for black. b6 is particularly bad because f3 and e4 is just going to blot out the bishop on b7. So c5, d5. I mean, I would imagine even b5. Vita Lynch, the Latvian master, played this against Queetsy2. Probably possible here, but all right. d5, d6 is like a modest move, and c5 castles right away. So the classical way to play Morales is d5. This is Karpov's preference, kind of gold standard for a long time. You're like kind of opening the game, possibly. The downside of it, though, is that your pawns are on white squares and your bishop's a dark square bishop. And if you trade that dark square bishop off, what's going to protect the dark squares? So it's okay, but it's kind of like a Ragozin Queen's Gambit. You don't necessarily have to trade the bishop. It could come back. So d5 is the main move, I would say, traditionally. The other good move is c5. And c5 attacks the center, and white doesn't have to, but usually plays d5. And then white can get a little bit overextended. And that's the variation I prefer to play. How to choose between d5 and c5. Well, this is stylistic. d5 and c5 is stylistic. I mean, d5 is more fundamental. You're like just grabbing your fair share of space and saying, hey, it's a Queen's Gambit where you played f3. That's a pretty weird move. All right. And the other way is more combative. I mean, c5 is more combative. The move I prefer, I used to play d5. I switched to playing c5. I've been very happy with this. After d5, I like to play b5, like a sort of Blumenfeld gambit. But there are many options. I mean, you can just play d6. You can castle and not declare yourself. So I would recommend c5. d6 is another option. If you play d6, you can play c5 a little bit later. The bishop isn't like being lost with check because you have knight c6 and d5 doesn't win a piece. So you always have this. So you're not in danger of losing the bishop. d6 is a quiet option. But you castled. Now, this seems like a risky way to play. You're basically begging white to play e4. He has another option as well to play bishop g5. And those two moves both look plausible for white. So e4 is the main move. Now, I guess this is a line. I never tried castles. Let's see. Yeah, so it is a line. It's the third most common move. Well, I mean, they're really. I'm surprised. Honestly, I'm very surprised d6 isn't played more. Look at how good black score is. That's really bizarre. I've even looked at knight h5. Oh, by the way, like knight h5 is oftentimes played in those the c5 d5, knight h5. I played this. I don't really like it. Knight h5, it's not a central move. But, you know, it's surprising that d6 doesn't have more supporters. I think it's underrated. Our plan is going to be to play c5 anyway. And maybe it just doesn't have a lot of independent value, to be honest, after d6, like e4. You're probably playing c5 anyway, and it's going to transpose back. So I guess that's the argument against d6. If e4, could you sack the knight? Sack the knight. You could sack the knight. So Morales castles, white plays e4. And honestly, I hadn't considered it, because you're looking at 2 pawns for a piece. This is probably like a winning move in Bughouse, and fun in Blitz, well, in Bullet for sure. But ultimately, after this, check. Korchnoi will play what? King d2 or king e2? And black doesn't have quite enough for the sacrifice piece. I guess d2. Kind of hard to say, but yeah, it's not enough compensation. For example, this wouldn't be enough compensation. We'd only have 2 pawns for the piece. All right, but anyway, nice that you're thinking there. It's a move that, you know, can be played in Bughouse. All right, so white played now e4, and now d5. This is not the only move. So it looks like you can still play c5. The idea here would be if white goes there, you have a choice between h5 and back. Possibly even c takes d4. So if I played like c5, I would probably expect like a3 from white. But ultimately, you can try to play it like a Hubner variation. Take d6, knight c6, blockade. It's a little bit passive for black. That's the only problem. But what Morales did here, what he did here, it's been a while, but I have looked at this a long time ago. Notice how few games there are. 107, 150. Not a lot of games. Now on e5, we're going to play knight d7, like a French defense. I just want to speak to the fact that white can play e5 or exchange pawns first and then play e5, and they're slightly different. If you exchange pawns first, right, like pawn takes pawn, then play e5, this bishop is open. But white has like a bigger majority on the king side. So this is interesting. It's very much like French defense. And similar variations exist in other lines, like the queen c2. There are some extremely similar variations. But obviously, you know, f3 isn't a very constructive move. That pawn is going to have to move again to support the center. And kind of like, we get back the tempo. Now, interestingly, 2 people here play knight e8. Karsten Volka, who I played once. Knight e8 looks extremely passive. I mean, I just don't understand that. I mean, you don't want to block your bishop, but I mean, the knight has like nowhere to go from e8. It would not interfere with the queen though, and not interfere with the bishop. It's interesting. So your opponent played c takes d, e takes d, e5, and now you play knight fd7. And this is a normal move, right? This doesn't interfere with these pieces. This is interesting. I know that guy is an IM. He's a decent player. He beat a 2380 back in 2003. But this knight doesn't help to counterattack the enemy's center. That's the biggest problem. When you place the knight on d7, like in a classical French, this knight though it's passive and it's redundant, it is putting pressure on e5 importantly. And also c5, also supporting c5. So that's the main move. Notice there's a few games in the last, 8 years here. Bokharov, a Chinese Grandmaster, even a Gustafsson game from 08, but not too popular line. Okay, e5, the knight e8, again, I don't really understand. Knight fd7, f4, and now Morales, I wonder if you didn't... Is knight h5 a move? Yeah, okay. Knight h5 has to be considered. It is a move. It has to be considered, but okay, there are some problems. First of all, if you play knight h5, the knight has nowhere to go, right? So if g4, it's finito la commedia, right? As far as the knight goes, there is a check, though. Okay, so this is a problem. Check, move the king, and then, then I would have a square for the knight. Then, if you go here, I would have this check, Uber driver sacks the exchange, take here, trap the queen on, like, wherever that is. What is that, H1? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think that it's probably okay for black, this line. My guess is that g4 is not a good move, and that the refutation of knight h5 is not the immediate g4, but something else. So if f4, you have queen h4 check, g3, knight takes g3, which also looks fine. But you would have maybe this, knight e2. That's the move that gives me the most worry. Solid move, maybe developing. Denying this really because of g3. But, to answer the question, I think it is possible to play knight h5. And if we go to the Lichess Opening Explorer, knight h3, no, not knight h3 here. Knight h3 would be possible if the pawns are in exchange, like here. Here. For example, I would think, if you went here, now knight h3 would be a move. But with this bishop on c8, I don't think so. I'm going to rip that knight and smash white's pawn structure. So, in the position from the game, if you go knight h5, I don't think this is really an option. Normally, Morales may be confusing this with the classical Nimzo positions. This is not okay for white. Too many holes in the dark squares. Theoretically you could play it, but it wouldn't be good. This looks really ugly. This is very bad for white. With caps, all caps. That would justify it. Now if we go to Lichess Opening Explorer, we're going to find out. I bet you knight h5 has been played quite a lot. Yeah, there's 1.2k games here. And there's another fantastic move, wow, which has been overlooked on the master level. For some probably good reason. Why is this rook e8 move overlooked by me, overlooked by the master players? Rook e8, I think the problem with rook e8 is that it's that we might actually want the rook on f8 if we play f6 and try to counterattack the center. But rook e8 is interesting nevertheless. Alright, so take here. I think that's the number one, expected move. And then f4. White doesn't have to play f4 right away, but you're threatening c5 now. Bijak, great, you're back. Man, someone is still here. We've lost so many. Move 11, welcome. Knight g7, you don't have the cards, move 11. Nice haircut. Nice. Thanks for noticing. The you don't have the cards. Exactly. Good point by Helmher. That rook e8 allows the bishop retreat to f8. That's a useful feature. White is playing f4 for two reasons. Number one, it supports this key, the center. Number two, it allows for the knight to develop to f3, superior development than e2. Now Morales played f6. And again, that's a very common move, and it's a very common move in the French. It's also very common in the queen c2 lines, which can reach the similar structure. But here we have a concrete problem, possibly with e6. If white plays e6, he's going to potentially have a protected passed pawn. So I'm really scared of this move. Now maybe you calculated it, it's okay. But I mean, what and how exactly are you reacting to that? If like white couldn't back it up with f5, I wouldn't care, so much. What's the plan against e6? Maybe e6 is going too far, but we don't really have a good square with the knight. So let's say here, f5. And now we have to make some kind of very strange... At some point we're going to have to move the knight to a very strange square, like f8, most likely f8 or b6. I mean, you could hope to have time to like break up a structure, but that's your king over there. So I have a bad feeling about this. Your analysis doesn't show, the computer analysis doesn't show anything about e6. But I'm very concerned. White just played knight f3. Let's just check. Yeah, e6 is the best move. It's funny though, it's close. Like white's sitting there, it's a 3-minute game. I can like empathize with white, who's 2200 blitz. That you're not 100% sure. It feels like this might be a little going too far, and your pawn is beyond the point of no return, kind of, but not really. So f5. So e6 was the best move. He was afraid to play that. He plays knight f3. Now you take, but you don't have to. But I kind of like agree with taking, because if you don't take, this e6 f5 thing kind of remains in the position, If you play, say, like c5, this is still a deal, So if you trade on e5, it seems logical, because he'll probably take back with the f pawn toward the center. And if he takes the other way, well, let's just say like c6, for example. This isn't that scary, because that pawn may be difficult to support with the other f pawn, for example. So I'm expecting him to take back with the f pawn. He does. And then this is nice. That's nice. But white also does have, very strong protected passed pawn on e5. Now we have to undermine it. There's no time here for passive play. I mean, in a perfect world, if you had like 2 moves in a row, or 3 moves in a row, like c6, knight b6, bishop f5, okay, we could probably set up a very strong blockade. But it doesn't feel like we have time. Bishop d3 is coming, and then it's Greek gift sacrifice world. We're 2 moves away from getting like a Greek gift sacrifice on h7, basically. And passive play just won't cut it here. We have nowhere to put the knight, other than b6, because now the rook is on f8. So what are our options? It's like going here, right? Probably, and then bishop d3, and now he doesn't have Greek gifts, but still he has a very strong passed pawn on e5. So Morales wants to strike. He hits the center with c5. This is very thematic. That's the whole idea. You're counterattacking this dude's center. It's hyper-modern chess. He extended his center, you're counterattacking it. It's risky, but, you're going for it. Now, the real interesting thing here is this counterattack against the white center. Probably, I would assume, like bishop d3, but okay, this would actually be a shit show. I'm thinking this could get really insane after bishop d3. He might be threatening this Greek sack, and if you go like c takes d, because you have this, like knight takes d4, check. This is a really big shit show. g3, and you can take this because of bishop takes h7, for example. But also possible, it's just bishop takes h7 right away. And I have no idea what the hell's going on. Maybe we have to sacrifice our queen. You know, what would happen after like king takes, knight g5, queen takes g5, bishop takes g5, pawn takes c3. What do I have? 3 pieces for, nice, 3 pieces for the queen. This is unclear. Look at this position. This is awesome. Awesome position. It's equal. What a cool idea to sack the queen. I don't know if that line was in there, but my other idea was that white can try to reinforce with bishop here, but we can always just keep like upping the pressure with knight c6. I think eventually he's going to have to do something. I mean, maybe he can do this and give us this pawn, and it's a game, you know. But your pieces are all in, and his king is still in the center, and that's the danger with white in the f3 Nimzo. So very suspicious move now. Queen b3. There was a question about king h8, but it's like, you know, it's passive. It's not something that is ideal. So, a very weird move. I mean, this is the kind of move I wouldn't even consider. Because I know it's move 7 in an f3 Nimzo, and playing queen b3, I mean, your king is in the middle of the board. There's a time to be playing queen b3. I mean, maybe this guy's thinking about castling queenside. You know, honestly, that didn't really occur to me. But he is theoretically like 2 moves away from castling queenside. If he could somehow castle queenside, who knows? I think it's a more like a materialistic idea, attacking the pawn at d5. And here we have options. This one, unfortunately, well, actually not unfortunately, this looks like a viable move. You could play knight b6. I mean, just protecting the pawn on d5. You know, his Greek gift sacrifices are gone now. So you could play knight b6. He would probably play like a3 or something. Maybe that's what he expected, I don't know. You could also just sacrifice the pawn on d5. Ignore it and it will go away. You know, so okay, like knight c6, queen takes d5 check, king h8, speaking of king h8, and then knight g5. But remember, white has no development. And since white has no development, it's entirely possible that black is fine. Just a sample variation, but knight b6, queen d8, or knight f7 check, the queen's protected. Rook takes f7. I mean, dude, white has no development here. I think that white is going to be in very big danger. So it's easy for him to fall behind the development, grabbing material. Queen b3. So you played c takes d4. You meant king h8 to bishop d3. cd, bishop takes h7. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to help. It's not going to be better than taking the bishop. You know, in a situation where you couldn't sacrifice the queen on g5, maybe it would be better. So Morales decides to go another way altogether and take with the pawn. But, you know, I don't know about this. Like, after queen b4, white's position looks kind of, like, solid. Maybe you had planned this. I mean, like, for example, queen takes b4, pawn takes pawn. Still, white's position looks fairly solid. C takes d4 isn't necessary. So the best move is knight c6. Maybe knight c6. Wow, rook takes f3 is even possible. That's a fascinating try. And but what about my other move, knight b6? This is too passive. It's also possible. So this is an amazing position, Morales. Queen b3, a very bad move, but you have like 4 possible moves here. It looks like. Why is that move given a double question mark? A3 is best. What is that? Your phone analyzing? Oh, instead of queen b3. My bad. Okay. Yeah, queen b3. Sorry. Yeah, it was bad. All right, queen b3, c takes d4. I meant here. C takes d4. Okay, queen takes d5. Check. King h8. Forced. And now white to play. Knight g5 is very materialistic. So that seems wrong. Queen takes d4 allows knight c6 with tempo, which looks good for black. So that leaves him with bishop g5. And again, you have really strong shot, like pawn takes. This would be a very temporary queen sacrifice. Bishop takes, pawn takes, and takes on a1. Yeah, so queen takes king h8, and now knight takes d4. This is his only other option. Knight takes d4. And the problem with knight takes d4 here for white is, and this is why, honestly, if it was me, if I were him, I would have played queen takes almost instantaneously. This looks like a pretty safe move for white because you don't have a dark square bishop. So you can attack him all you want, but you can't really attack him on the dark squares too much. I would feel like white is probably okay here. Now the engine says black is still slightly better, but I think he can probably at least play, you know, he's still in the game here. Queen takes c5 check, king h8. This move leaves his king like totally cut off on the f-file. He's not going to be able to castle now. Then he has no ostensible development. I mean, just this is his only development. Queen h4 check, it doesn't do anything. But there's got to be something here for black, man. The problem is the time control is a very fast one. I mean, I think at the minimum, you try knight takes e5, I see. Just to illustrate black's position, how good your position is, I'm just going to say like knight b6. Let's say knight b6. You let him trade queens. Whatever. Queen takes, rook takes. Okay. He's up a pawn. He's up a pawn. It's kind of overextended. And he has some threats like knight b5 or whatever. Threatening knight c7. No, but honestly, I don't think that white is really better here. I mean, maybe he has just enough. Like, okay, knight a6, bishop g5, rook e8, attacking the pawn on e5, for example. Castle queenside. I mean, his king is not safe over there either. It's close. It's close. White is a little bit better there. But just to illustrate, you know, you could even trade queens and your position is still okay. So, but you've got to have something better than that. And you tried for the very direct knight takes c5. Is this a bad move, though? I don't think it's a bad move. I think it's better than knight b6. The idea is rook e8. So you're just ahead in development, in otherwise an equal position. He trades queens. He's afraid. Rook takes, knight b5. So the same thing but better, because we already got the pawn. Knight a6, bishop f4. Now, bishop g5 doesn't do anything. Bishop f4 doesn't really do anything either. If I was him, well, he's facing knight d3 check. So this is kind of like a waste of a tempo if he plays that. He's trying to castle. After knight d3 check, you're slightly better because you have the bishop pair. But, you know, maybe you wanted more. But do you deserve more? You know, you simplified it a lot with knight takes c5. You know, it's not the best move apparently. Like, this is better, but it's hard to play that in a blitz game. So anyway, knight takes c5, queen d8, rook d8. You're at least equal. Knight b5 here. This is unfortunate. He has strong knight on b5, but you're still fine. I think knight d3 check looks good. It's equal. But you went with knight g6. Now the problem there is that obviously your knight is. I know you've missed the Budapest Gambit, Morales, but the knight is not well placed on, not ideally placed on g6. I guess you figured, and probably rightfully so, that his king is not safe here. You're still fine after knight g6. He's going to have to block with bishop e2. This could be very tedious for white. Rook e8 check. Alonso Zapata freaked out at me at the World Senior for like checking my opponent's king, but here you have a really concrete idea. Because where does he go? You know, he's going to have to play a very bad, awkward move now. What is White going to do? I think he has to play. I don't know what to do. His king isn't his king like screwed? I mean, bishop e2, bishop g4. What is this guy going to do? He's going to have to play something horrible. What is he going to do? Can someone explain to me that what is White going to do after rook e8 check? Everything looks bad. King d1 is bad. King d2 is bad. Bishop e2 is bad. So you got the same position basically after bishop g4. Bishop e2, rook e8. Oh, and you didn't play it. So you should have just checked him first, I think. And then got this position by transposition. And now what does White do? You're threatening to win a piece immediately. He can't castle. So, what does he do? I mean, king f1? Is that his only move? My God. It looks like it's like his only move. King f1. When obviously you have at least a draw with rook f8 check. Probably a lot worse than that. Okay, maybe he can bail out with something like this. Giving you a pawn, let's say. This is looking like the best he could do. Be a clear pawn down. That's the best he could do. But you did bishop e2 trade, which gives him a slightly better defensive chance. So after this, I don't know what to play. You helped him there. That's the problem with 3-minute chess, ultimately. We're going to make some inaccuracies. Check. And now I expected king f3. But that's probably very dangerous. So maybe he should head for c2. Like, yeah. I guess king d2. King d2, check, king c2, and it's actually quite awkward to see how you can attack his king on c2. I don't really think you have anything, immediate, so you're only very slightly better. So he goes to f1. This isn't the best square. His rooks are disconnected. You play rook f8 now. That's a very weird move. Because this is just begging to be played. And I don't know. Time, I guess. This is almost like you wanted to draw or something. Check, king e2. And you've got the other rook in. But he's now chased to where he was supposed to go in the first place, which is over here. This is where he should have gone in the first place. The end point in the station. King d1. Rook d8. So you're just making checks like a fish. Time brings out bad habits in people. We're just making random checks. So he gets to the end station and everything's okay. Now his rooks are connected. His king is safe. Position is equal. You've got to actually watch that you don't hang your a7 pawn. Bishop c5. Well, the good news is that Morales didn't lose. Because usually he falls off the rails here. The way this was trending, I didn't feel optimistic. h5, a passive move. Rook d8, rook d8. White was settling for equal. Check. This is... Oh, man. Terrible move by white. I mean, he should play, I guess, king b3. Damn, he retreated his king back. And then rook takes, knight takes, a6 here. Maybe you don't want to put that pawn on a dark square. By the way, you played h4. Don't love it. But after the exchange of bishops, okay. I think you could exchange bishops. He's going to exchange bishops anyway. This is fine. Here, and draw. Okay. Interesting game. All right, interesting game. And the lesson of the game is it's okay. Draws are okay. Draws are better than losing. And a lot of people don't recognize that. Congratulations for realizing that. A draw is half point. It's halfway better than losing. It's fun. You've never seen a double knight ending? Come on. Very standard. I must have a million of them. Very common in my games. I've never had rook and bishop versus rook that I can recall, but you've never seen a double knight endgame. I probably had like 20 double knight endgames in my career, or more. It seems like a million. Okay, I just don't like trading knights, I guess. Anyway, Morales, thank you for that game. That was fun. Close to my heart because I love the Nimzo, but got the feeling like you were playing a Queen C2 Nimzo line, which is very similar. All right, so onward and upward. Since everyone's here, we might as well look at this Quinteros Larson game, which is the featured Friday. No, tomorrow's Friday. Featured Friday. All right, I'm gonna need my glasses. Nurse, can I have my glasses, please? Where's my call button? Guys, if we can have a moment of silence for Asterbate. I don't know if he's ever going to come back or if he's dead or alive. But, it's just not the same without him. So, alright. Going into book mode. Something on my glasses. Following game was played in 1973 when I was 1 year old. Alright. This is... I don't know which tournament, actually. It doesn't matter. I just like looking at interesting games, and we've been doing Larson games. This is from Manila, 1973, obviously in the Philippines. I'm not sure what tournament it was. Quinteros is from Argentina. He's a grandmaster from Argentina. He's still alive as far as I know. I played a lot of blitz games against him years ago on the Internet Chess Club. We used to get paired in 5-minute blitz a lot. And I think I had like an even score against him, I would say. Alright, so we've got black against Quinteros. It's 1973. E4, E5, knight F3, knight C6. No, interestingly though, donate. Yes, guys. We don't know what we're going to do in the summer, but I've got a summer tournament fund, which expires in like 60 days, 2 months. And no plans yet. But any money from the summer tournament fund will go toward that. Please donate. And if you're interested in private lessons, we have availabilities. So I don't know what makes Larson play E4, E5. He doesn't play E4, E5 that often. It's an interesting choice against particularly Quinteros. Larson played a lot of things. The Sicilian mostly, Caro-Kann, modern, obviously e4, e5 too. So anyway, bishop b5. And now, this must have been like a kind of one game preparation. Larsson plays the Cosio variation with knight on g to e7. And, you know, this move, I mean, it's known, right? I always thought it's not very good for black, but Larsson played when he was white some like close Sicilians and Viennas where he's doing like knight on g to e2. I mean, it's a little bit like that, like a kind of closed Sicilian type of setup with probably g6. You can play g6, right, like a Smyslov system, following up usually with like bishop g7 and knight on g to e7. So when you go here, I mean, obviously the bishop's blocked, right? And one of the benefits of this move is that it protects c6. If bishop takes c6, you can take with a knight if you want to. But it's a very passive move at the same time. And you're black, so is this too much for black to ask? I mean, it's not like you played it against bishop c4. I mean, that's like suicide, right? Here, it's not suicide, actually. But it's not recommended. This is like a strange fried liver. You know, I just want to point out like weird openings, like, for example, the Alapin opening with knight e2, which was played recently. You can see there's like a bunch of games by Ropport, of course. Ivanchuk and Ropport have been playing this. I mean, people want new ideas, so they start playing weird openings to try to find new ideas. My favorite example of the Alapin's opening was, of course, like the weakness of f2, an illustrative example of how quickly black can win after like bishop c5, d3, knight f6, bishop g5, and knight takes e4. And move 11 never had a game like this where bishop takes f2 check happened. That's, you know, Legal's mate. But it's only possible because, right, because white played this like lame, awkward knight move that is substandard and interferes with his other pieces, right? So anyway, the Cosio is somewhat justified by obviously the fact that the bishop's on b5. It's not coming to c4. So what is white supposed to do? Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I don't know. It makes sense to open the game. Or does it? I mean, you're ahead in development, so it makes sense to open the game. But I mean, at the same time, white should consider other constructive moves. Castles, c3, knight c3. Alright, so Quinteros plays d4. And now the first thing I think is like, the biggest problem for black is the fact that black has redundant knights. So is somehow like d4 a mistake because black can trade everything and then like move the knight again through c6? So if you can look at the opening export here, you see like this is played. Knight takes e4. A lot of draws. That's enough to make me skeptical of d4 altogether. You know, knight takes d4. Larsson didn't like draws, but it's not necessarily a draw. Knight takes d4, pawn takes d4, queen takes d4, and obviously like knight to c6, attacking the queen. And this is like a weird sort of center attack where another, you know, set of pieces have been exchanged. You get the same thing you'd see in the center attack, just a pair of knights is off the board. White remains better because of the strong pawn on e4. But at the same time, maybe black kind of got away with something because he did manage to exchange a set of pieces He's not that cramped. So I think the debate is like these knights are not well placed. They're redundant. And the other argument is, okay, we don't want to make them unredundant. We don't want to free black up. So it's kind of hard to play chess because you got these competing principles that are almost competing against each other. On the one hand, we don't want to exchange stuff because black's cramped. On the other hand, we want to open the position up because we're ahead in development. Well, honestly, white's not that far ahead in development. A little bit ahead in development. But I mean, ultimately, maybe this is better. And maybe castles is better, you know. So Terrace plays d4. Black takes, or no? Wow, I lied to you guys. Shit, are you serious? Oh, wow. I totally lied to you guys. Terrace didn't play d4. Haha, tricked you. He didn't play d4. He's not stupid. I don't know where I got d4 from. That's weird. Anyway, knight at gd7. Okay, d4 is a move. But he played c3, which I like. It's a solid move. We could transpose to a kind of weird Steinitz, right? Black here has g6, but he's got to be prepared. I mean, d4 is on the way. And if you play d4 now, the interesting thing, what this does, is if white intends to play d4, we can't take with a knight anymore. Maximum black can take with a pawn. So it prevents black from... Move 11 says, I think knight c3, objectively best line. Knight c3 have best score. That may be a very good move as well. I remember an Olympiad game like 8, 9, 10 years ago where it was like, wasn't this how Rockport lost once really bad against Shirov? I think it was knight c3, knight g6, h4. Let's check. Yeah. I don't see that game here. Could have been a slightly different position. Okay. So knight c3 is another obviously reasonable move. But I like c3 too. Black plays now a6. Sorry. Get this d4 out of here. Delete. c3. Make main line. So... what is it main line? Okay. How did it know? So a6 now. A little bit surprising. a6. I think this position I saw in a tournament like 5 years ago, a GM tournament I played in. Maybe it was last 3 or 4 years ago, but pretty sure there was a game where someone played d5. d5 is possible here. It's like a Ponziani. It's basically a Ponziani in reverse, isn't it? Wow. It's not even in reverse. Could we transpose to a Ponziani? It's not reverse. It's a normal Ponziani. I'm alright. You know, I know where I am. I don't know. Yeah, d5 turns it into a weird Ponziani. Okay. Obviously, knight g6 is a move. d5 is a move. d6 is a move. d6 is very passive. Larson plays a6. Now, taking definitely seems bad. So the question is where to put the bishop. e2, Kopek style, all squares are available. I don't really know why you would play bishop d3, but bishop c4 is not entirely out of the question. Bishop a4 is the main move. He does. Bishop a4. a6 is useful for black. Now you can play b5 in any moment, you know, if you need to. It's kind of good to have that. Not that weakening. g6. g6, we're going to see d4. So Larson doesn't play g6. I mean, I would assume that this is very, very strong. This is also a well-known line. Take, and d5. Can white play a gambit here? these gambit possibilities are possible. All right, anyway, we can't analyze everything. So the game is d6. Larson plays d6. So this looks like it transposes to a. It honestly transposes to a Steinitz deferred. It's a Steinitz deferred where you played a6 first, white played bishop a4, then you played d6, white played c3, and then black played knight on g to e7. And now white plays d4, clearly a standard position, and then bishop d7. I had a game with John Curto, like my first e4 game ever, by the way. Might have been this exact position. Where I was white. It was my first. I was a master already. It was 1991. I was 2200. It was like summer 1991. I was 2200, and I had started to play e4 for the first time. And I had this game with then, senior master John Curto, where he played this with black, and it was like my first e4 game ever. And it was something like knight g6. I think that John probably played possibly this exact position against me. I just remember that later I went like knight g5 and queen h5 or something. So d4, bishop d7. That's safer. This is really a deferred Steinitz now. And now a really amazing move by white. And I do this all the time against the hippo. Because the hippo's coming, right? Like, they start forming a hippo on the queen side. Like in Blitz, I can see it coming. They're like e6, d6, b6, and I'm just waiting for like g6, h6. So I'll just throw the h pawn at them, and then they go g6 and they're like h5. So here, white decides to take like a prophylactic approach. He plays h4. Kidarasone is an aggressive player. So this move makes some sense. It's good against g6. It's also good against knight g6. Someone here actually played knight c8 for black. That's straight up disgusting. So it looks like the best move for black is probably h6. The plan might be h6 followed by g6. So if h6, does white play h5? Yeah. h6, h5. Oh god, here's the game. It was Shirov-Rapport. Let me make sure this is right. Shirov-Rapport 2016. It should have been the Olympiad 2016. Because Rapport was playing board 1 for Hungary, and Leko was like on a lower board. It was like, oh my god. Why is Rapport playing this crap, Let's see. View. Yes. Okay. So this is the game I was thinking about before. It was Baku 2016. So actually, I think that was it. But it's weird. It seemed a lot longer. Like it was longer ago. This is like when I started streaming here. I thought it was even older than that. Alright, so h6. White plays h4. Black plays h6, so this is the game. Now h5. And who knows, this is probably like the first time this happened. It's very possible. 1973, there's the game. So, October 1973, I wasn't even a year old yet. Nayar Shipman, 2004. So I don't see any other games older than 2004. Well, obviously Rapport loves to play offbeat stuff. But Shirov was very strong in one impressive game here. But I didn't realize that it had spawned from this. So now black makes an unbelievable move. Guys, how does this work? How does this make sense? I mean, okay, black, objectively, what do we do? Knight g8? That's Shira Rapport. That was repeated in Narayanan against Demchenko in 2022, shockingly. Wow. So knight g8 would be my choice to try to reposition the knight. I don't really understand this move. E takes d4. And black is 3-0. I get it that like maybe h5 isn't like the best, most correct thing in the world. But for black to be 3-0 in this position, I have a hard time digesting that. We have no space. We just surrendered the center. And the other two players who are strong players, Van Delft and Golubka, they both took back with the pawn. I mean, you got to take back with the pawn here. I mean, is this a question? Taking back with the knight is lame. Taking back with the knight is like super lame. So what is black's idea? Is he going to trap the bishop? You can't trap the bishop. I mean, after c takes d4, b5, like here, or even here, here, and here. Or you could go here, here, and here. Maybe that. I don't know. After c takes d4, what does black do? You have to play d5. Black lost 2 out of 2 in this position. This is going to be a little bit similar to what happened in this game. So, it's interesting. What's the engine say? White is better, but only half a pawn. And the best move is a novelty, which is surprising. So the computer likes knight c3, allowing pawn takes pawn, giving white an IQP. Knight takes e4. This h4, h5, it's a little bit overextended. So it's very tricky. Okay, going back, so Quinteros plays knight takes, and now Larsson trades knights. His knights are redundant. Trading knights. White plays bishop takes or no? No. I lied. E takes d4, knight takes d4, knight takes d4, yeah. C takes d. And then now d5. Fixing the pawn. So is white better? Move 11? White has more space. d5, e5. Bishop takes a4. Queen takes a4. Check. And now, of course, not queen d7, because who wants a draw, right? If queen d7, it's probably going to be a draw. I mean, Larsson's the better player, but he has less space. Looks pretty easy to play. Maybe Karpov could win one side or the other, but Larsson doesn't want to trade queens. So he plays knight c6. And now, my question is, we get to this diagram position. Bishop e3. Queen d7, threatening knight takes e5. And now knight c3 defending the queen. Queen c2, white plays queen c2 now. Sorry. It's black's move. Knight c3, bishop e4, the Nimzo. And there's threats of blockade positions, like bishop takes, knight a5. Maybe good bishop, sorry, good knight versus bad bishop, good bishop. Queen c2. So he can take with the queen. This looks reasonable. Now, where does black put his king? Where does white put his king? h5 is going to come back to haunt white. Dude, where did my viewers go? Why do the viewers keep, like, disappearing? We went from 15 to 6. Where are you guys going? No leaving. And subscribe now. Very suspicious. Alright, maybe we lost our streaming feature here. I'm the only person streaming on Lichess. The only featured streamer like on Lichess tonight, and there's 6 people watching my stream. What's that about? Nobody watches the watchers. Okay, so Queen C2, castles. Yeah, but I don't know where black should put the king, you know, honestly. I love having flexibility. Queen G4 is tempting, right? But white has F3. Whoa. I guess this wouldn't work. Queen A4 check. I don't know. Alright, anyways. So he castles kingside. Quinteros castles queenside. He castles kingside. His H-pawn is a goner. What about something like Rook H3? Morales is definitely ready to play F6 now. Morales, are you still here? What happened to our friend Schumacher? You guys, don't leave. Don't leave on me. We need to get like 70 viewers. Alright. Queen C2, castle. Castle queenside. Bro. Okay, in balanced position, I think Quinteros is right. He's got to play for an attack on the king side. This reminds me of, I don't know what, like a Caro Kann. Queen C2, castle, castle. Bishop takes C3 now. Well, the pin is gone. With the pin gone, this knight could transfer over here. It could also transfer to A4 and C5. So Bent like just takes it. Now white has to decide to take with the queen or the pawn. It's not an easy decision. Queen takes looks safer, like less pawn weaknesses. Queen takes. The other way, I mean, you have a very clear plan of sticking knight on C4. So he takes to the queen, and then Larson breaks with the obvious F6. You know, I wonder, though, if Quinteros was to cut his losses here with something like pawn takes pawn, rook takes, and then king B1, for example. I guess A5, knight B4, A5, A3, check. I mean, I would go for a trade of queens if possible. But I don't know. Maybe he could cut his losses by trading pawns on F6. This is sort of like doubling down. He plays F4. But that's a lot of pawns on dark squares, you know. It's a lot of pawns on dark squares, and the white squares are very weak, it looks like, to me. Still, it can't be a terrible move. So now the author of this book gives Larson a double exclamation point for the following. But to be fair, there aren't a lot of things that black can do here. And Larson loves pushing rook pawns anyway. This is not that hard to find. You know, he doesn't have any options. I mean, B5, creating a huge hole on C5, I don't think so. Pawn takes pawn, well, yeah, at some point. A knight maneuver, I mean, G4 can come in. I don't see like knight F5 is a very stable outpost. This move isn't that hard to find. A5, but the point of the move, right, isn't just knight B4. He has a rook lift. This rook lift is really dangerous. And also just rook A6, B6, rook A4, rook A6, B6, rook C6, maybe knight B4s, A5, A4, knight A5. There's a lot of ways we can get in there. Notice this pawn on E3. Nice pawn you've got there, bud. A3, A4 immediately, giving us knight A5 in, or knight A5, knight C4. So black's already better. Now king B1, knight A5, queen D3, queen D3, defending against the diagonal. Knight c4, permanent. Will you be staying long? Oh yeah. We can even play b5 if necessary to reinforce that. I think like white wouldn't mind like second exchange there. Queen d3, knight c4. Now bishop d2. This is a strong move, I suppose, although I think his original plan was probably to play bishop c1 and just defend. The idea is to come here where it molests the rook on f8 and maybe inhibits c5. Though I think the bishop on b4 can become attacked by the c-pawn. Ultimately, black could have like b6 and c5. The bishop isn't, the knight on c4 is like a permanent outpost, but the bishop on b4 is not. Free lesson, guys. So a3, a4, king b1, knight a5, queen e3, knight c4, bishop d2, and now f takes e5, opening the f file. I don't know which way white should recapture here. But I mean, there is this. There's also this. Camel culture. Excuse me. That file is a thing. This is also, excuse me, hiccups. Every time you come to the stream, I've been drinking something. Just coffee. All right. Now we have a very imbalanced pawn structure. Big majority over here for white, and the same over there. But honestly, the knight is so strong on c4, and with the rook a6 lift, it's going to be pretty quick for black to get some serious threats going on. Rook a6, rook b3. Doesn't take a lot of brain surgeons to figure that it could be kind of dangerous. So fe5, rook a d8. This is really surprising. Wow. I was so focused on this rook lift here. But he decides it's more important to play this because we have to keep d5 protected against the two rooks there. Rook a d8. And then bishop c1. Passive. Defense. And b5. Why b5? b5 protects the knight so we can play d4. And rook he1. Wait, this had no ability to advance this duo of pawns. Rook fe8, obviously. Keeping pressure on e5. Bishop b4. Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, it's pretty clear that was the dude's idea when he played bishop d2. So, Camel Culture's question or comment, it looks annoying, but it's not, because f4 hangs. He played bishop d2 when the pawn tension was still on, right? He played that. So, when we had this exchange, yeah, he could have taken the other way. But I think that's the issue. Okay, we can't play bishop b4 because of the f-pawn. So he wanted to put the bishop on b4, but he never got a chance to be able to do it. And so b5 supports d4. And this whole massive expansion. So it's like my pawns can go forward, but yours can't. And there's this ongoing domination of, man, the monster. The Loch Ness Monster. This game doesn't last long. What do you think the advantage is here for black? Well, it's going to need a very concrete way out of this. Could he have maybe tried g4 or something? I mean, even if you could play f5, you would hang your e5 pawn. It's just like impossible for white to get those to get that majority moving. He plays rook he1. No, I was thinking, well, maybe we could play g4, and if you take it, we'll have some play or something like that, you know. But even that is like black could ignore it, just do his thing, and then if here you just take this. I mean, I don't know, you know. It's not so easy for white to get the pawn. Rest in peace, Shuba. Why Shuba? Shuba Buba. Shuba died last year. What made you think of Shuba? So, rook he1, queen f3, sorry, rook he1, rook fe8, queen f3, and now c5, that was the plan. He still can't play f5. Rook d3, awkward. Trying to triple up, that's not going to help. And the black just keeps going. Got this, smile. Oh my god. Now even like b4 might be possible. Oh no. Here. Oh no, he goes knight a5. I can't believe it. I don't know. I bet the computer doesn't like knight a5. Let's see. No, it doesn't. I told you b4 was the idea. I've got a message here. Our director. Late but not too late. Brace for impact, yeah. Okay, brace for impact. 10 plus 3. Alright. Yep. The computer liked rook b8. Now that we played rook d8 to play d5, but now that d4's played, we don't need our rook on d8 anymore, so that makes sense. The rook doesn't need to stay on d8 now. I'm surprised. I'm surprised that black played the following move. What is this doing? What is your problem? Where's my main line? God damn it. Here. Rook d1. Yeah, this position. Very surprising. The knight is so good. Why move it? You know, it's so slow, and it's also keeping an eye on e5. I would never want to move my knight on c4. I think Larson wanted to push the c pawn, honestly. So I think in retrospect, you see the plan is slow but effective, turtle style. Camels move slowly, right? How fast can camels move? Knight a5, knight b3. Knight a5, knight b3, c4. This is more direct. Just a quick b4. And that, I think, is what like more people would play. Because white has like no counterplay. Yeah, bracing for impact. Mike Myers speed. You just teleport to Waffle House. So rook b8, that's good too. Knight a5, very surprising move. g4, there it is. He still doesn't have any threats. I mean, maybe g5. Knight b3, impact. And now he can't play f5 because it drops the central pawn. Or shouldn't. So white is threatening. He's finally threatening to play f5. But this majority lands first. Who would have saw that coming? Rook de1. Now he's ready. And we're all expecting, what, d3? We're all expecting d3. But d3 threatens d2, right? So if d3 blockade, or, you know, he'll reinforce control of... If d3, you can control this with the queen, or even physically put the bishop on d2. So he instead goes here. This is kind of funny. b4 now. An unfair struggle, this one. 4 black pawns against 2 white ones. That must lead to a disaster. Well, there's 4 white pawns over here against 2 black ones, you know. But mine are in a line. b4, a b4. And now A3. Oh my god. What? I don't know, but I think A2 check might be a problem. A2 check is a problem. So we have to take it. We have to take it. And what's the point? But what does it do? Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. Sorry. Sorry, I messed up. God damn it. He did play D3. Sorry. Don't you hate that when people get the game score wrong? They're like, oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't show you the right move. Okay. That was interesting, but yeah, there's no follow-up. There's no clear move here for black. Sorry. That was a mistake. D3. Why doesn't white play F5 now? I guess I have to ask the obvious question. No, D2 is too strong. Okay, he can't. Because D2 is too strong. Okay. So obvious question, obvious answer, bishop D2. Oh man, I messed up. I'm sorry guys. You're gonna kill me. C4, rook D1. He did play B4 takes, and then he plays D3. Alright. This is the correct move order. Bishop D2, A3. And now if you take, you have to take. And then this. Oh no. So that was the final point. So we have access, office hours. This is just brutal. This is devastating. It's like, how did that happen so quick? Dancing with the Stars. Knight D4, Queen F2, obviously Queen A4, double threat, triple threat, triple threat, triple double. Bishop C3. Probably there's a million ways to win here. But I like this interference theme. Because he can't take because of Queen Queen takes D1 check. You gonna sack the exchange? What are you gonna do? Bishop E2. Queen C2 check. Ouch. And in this initially, no, in this totally lost position, white overstepped the time limit. You lost on time. Flag. Can't imagine why he flagged here. Yeah, so that was overextension central. Nice. All right, that was Quinteros Larson. Interesting opening line, though. You know, now we know where like Rockport had played this camel culture in a game I remembered from the 2016 Olympiad, where he lost with black against Shirov. It's the top game there. At the time, Hungary was in contention, and it was like Spain versus Hungary, board 1. They had Leko on a lower board, and it was like horrifying watching like Rockport play board 1, because, you know, why not put the solid guy on board 1? But whatever. So they put Rockport on board 1, and this was like really horrible watching him lose to Shirov. Okay guys, I know what I'm doing. Be right with you. Taking our glasses off. Blurry vision. Okay, blurred out. We got a couple games left. What do we got? Chapter 1 was Sun Prism. Okay, that's next. Then we got the last game that was sent to me, and a Sicilian position I like to analyze. The Move 11 was asking about. Okay, so first off, this is our subscriber Sung Prism. I don't know what a Sung Prism is, and I never knew, and maybe I'll never know, but I don't care. It's a name. So Sung Prism is black. This is an over the board game. I'm going to assume it's fairly recent. It's the French defense, which I was just playing around with lately, although I don't seriously play the French defense. I think it's very good for everyone to play different things, to mix up what you play so you learn to understand different kind of structures. and positions. You know, if it's just blitz, experiment with new openings. A prism is greater sum of its parts or something. Isn't it some Mr. Spock quote? Oh, today was Mr. Spock's birthday. Leonard Nimoy would be like 95 today. I only know that because like William Shatner posted it. I think William Shatner's 95. They would be the same. They would be the same age, 95. Okay, E4, E6, D4, D5. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, camel culture. So we're playing the French, knight C3 now. I can't tell you how much I hate camel culture, right? Uber driver and the Rubinstein variation. Horrible. Just doesn't make sense. So it's either knight f6 or bishop e4. Against the Taras, you can do weird stuff like a6 and h6 and bishop e7 and whatever. But I mean, here I think it's either bishop e4 or, you know, I know there are people who try to play knight like c5. That's inferior. So here we go. Knight f6. And, you know, I was kind of getting into playing the winnower, but doing it with like this b6 type of stuff. Anyways, knight f6, the principled, safest, fundamental move. Knight f6 is safer than bishop e4. Like, there's no question. And now white, obviously, you know, is often going to play e5. You're going to get maybe a, I don't know, all kinds of stuff here. Classical. So anyways, bishop g5, and now, yeah, he plays bishop e7. I don't like bishop e7. I mean, it's like, it just doesn't seem like you have any winning chances with this. If you want to be solid, it's fine. You know, if you're okay with a draw, it's fine. But I think objectively here, if you want to win, maybe you could try the McCutcheon. Jesse Cry, old favorite. I don't know. You know, that requires a lot of knowledge. But I think the move that I trust is e takes e4. This is different from the Rubinstein because ultimately white's going to give you this bishop in some positions, in a lot of positions. You're going to get the bishop. So the main line is knight takes e4, bishop e7. Bishop takes f6, g takes f6. And you get an imbalanced pawn structure where both sides can play for a win. You know, this is not just better for white or, you know, whatever. You've got a dark square bishop, white doesn't. And that's compensation. I think this is a good variation. It's probably black's best try if you want to try to win objectively without playing the McCutcheon or something totally nuts. Bishop e7, e5, knight e7, h4. Oh, you mean the Alekhine-Chittard attack? Of course. Kasparov. He's like a 5-year-old. Camel Culture was born yesterday. He thinks Kasparov invented this. Bishop e7, e5. Yeah, this is the Alekhine-Chittard attack. So, right. That's an aggressive way to play. Kasparov attack. It's the Wesley So attack. It was invented in like 2019. Knight fd7. I'm not gonna be sarcastic and troll everybody because that's how I lost all my viewers. All right. I'm gonna be nice to you guys. I'm gonna be like Eric Rosen nice. Hey, how are you? Great to see you guys. Let's look at a new gambit today. Today we're gonna look at a pawn sack that just loses a pawn for nothing. So it's perfect for you guys playing your Scholastic tournaments. All right. Bishop takes e7. No, this is not the Alekhine-Chittard attack. Knight fd7. Bishop takes e7. Now h4 is sharper. obviously. We've seen that. This guy plays the main line, bishop e7, queen e7. This is also interesting, right? White went knight b5 right away. I am out of my depth now on this move. For some reason, like, that move's not real popular. It's the 8-year-old Indian master variation. This? I mean, if the top game is like the Boyevich Korchnoi 1987, it's not exactly like cutting edge. I've never seen this. Oh, you can take with the king, right? Am I making that up? I'm making that up. It's happening in other positions. Okay, in the Alekhine Chittard thing. But, okay, bishop e7, no, you can't take with the king. You shouldn't take with the king. You can take with the king. Can I go to the bathroom? Yes. Should you go to the bathroom? No. All right. Bishop takes e7. Queen e7. King e7 happens sometimes in other lines. But yeah, right away, I didn't know this was even a move, honestly. So black has to answer the threat, and you don't want to face hugger. You don't want to face a hugger. You know, did you guys hear that story in the UK? There was some guy who like stopped a like mall bomber. The guy had like a gun, or well, not a bomber, but like a shooter. He's like a hero. He like went up and he hugged the shooter. And the guy just wanted to like cuddle with him. He didn't shoot anybody. It's crazy. He just saved everybody from this mass shooter by just going up to him and like hugging him. And the guy just like needed a hug or something like that. I'm a hugger, not a fighter, but sometimes it works out. Not always. So knight a6 not good. Queen d8 is possible. King d8 was played by someone. That's insane, right? King d8. King d8 not recommended. Knight f8, very awkward. So knight b6. I hate knight b6 too, but that's the main move. Knight b6. It's a bad square for the knight, but on the plus side, we're going to get to knock this guy out with a6. What about a4, though? That's the question. Okay, this is the first time I've looked at this line, probably. The obvious question is a4, a6, a5. a4, a6, a5. A takes b, a takes b. But the main move seems to be c3. So if a4... a6, a5, and this is the original 1987 game between Boyevich and Korchnoi. Oh my god. A takes b. Oh, do you want tripled pawns? Sure. Rook takes a1. Queen takes a1. Oh my god, white does not have a good score here. Did white remember to develop his pieces? Wow, c6. Black has one loss here, only. Glazirov. It's a weird position, but it's fine for black, it looks like. Alright. So the correct move is what your opponent played. c3. And this way the knight just simply goes back, and white's point is your knight is an idiot on b6. So both sides have, like, bad knights. But here's a very interesting point. You played the obvious move that I would have played, but look at the score with castles. Very small sample size. I'm not sure it's relevant at all, Mr. Coffee. You're the statistician. But, the BU pub used to have really good sandwich, the statistician. All I remember is that it involved, I think, like, Russian dressing. But why is castle scoring so much better than a6? Why not? I mean, white doesn't really have any threats. So at the end of the day, I guess we're not obligated to play a6. And castles is a constructive move. But ultimately, is there another way we can deal with the situation? I mean, aren't we going to have to play a6 eventually? Is there an idea here? Like, bishop d7 is impossible. You guys don't think like bishop d7 is possible, do you? Bishop d7. If we're castled, we can play bishop d7, knight takes d7, bishop a4. Oh no. So let's just imagine turning off the opening explorer. If I play castles, am I threatening bishop d7? That's my question. Typical French. Am I threatening bishop d7? This and other really interesting questions, right, are going to be answered here. Computer's just going to play a6 anyway. So I want to see. Let's say knight f3, bishop d7. So if knight takes d7, yeah, it's like a hope chess variation, basically. But it's irrelevant because white has a4 anyway. So I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't look like castles is better than a6. a6, knight a3, c5. That's the plan. That's the plan. Looks good. It looks good. f4, knight c6, knight f3, cd4, and I honestly expected white to take back with the pawn here. Because why do you take back with the pawn? Why should white take back with the pawn, not the knight? Knight takes is playable and it's interesting, but I think fundamentally this sucks, right? And it's blocked by all of your own pawns. And so if we knight trade, that bishop's going to get in the game. And if you keep him bottled up, right? Typical French are queen before check type people. No. Yeah, no, people do that all the time, but nobody's afraid of that crap. I just play queen d2. I'm happy with this endgame any day of the week. And any time like black wants to play this position, it's fine by me. I mean, yeah, maybe you could plonk your knight in there, but I mean, even like king c3. What are you gonna do? If you play a5, you let me in here. This is a big deal. Where knight b4 isn't permanent. It's all about facehugger theory. But I don't know. I mean, white took back with the knight. And I think that's fine, but it doesn't seem testing. It's like pawn takes is more testing. I guess he just didn't want to trade. He didn't want to trade queens. But I still think you can trade queens and maintain an advantage. So now you played a very weird move, queen c5. That's not on my radar. My first question is, what are you doing? Extreme moves. Maybe it's about defending the knight on b6. You didn't like bishop d7. Something about bishop d7 and your knight on b6 being attacked. Yeah, the knight on b6 is a painful piece. We have possibilities here. I mean, bishop d7, queen b3, let's say. Knight d4, pawn d4, knight a4. Doesn't look good. So this is basically the issue. Here we'd have to play, yeah, this is kind of ugly. So, I think that Sun Prism was concerned about his knight on b6. But, if that's your concern, then maybe you should just move it right away. First off, okay, f6. Yeah, this involves some risk. This is kind of risky, I admit. I mean, maybe castling is objectively the thing to do. Castle first, and then be willing to bring this knight back to d7, I think. This is a very strange move for me. I don't like queen c5. Yeah. Castle f6 or castle something, but queen c5 is a strange move. I don't understand the point. It looks like it's about protecting the knight on b6, but it's kind of awkward and it doesn't really develop. So then rook c1. I don't get rook c1. I don't understand what these guys are doing. I guess white's like, I guess the point is, oh, you want to trade queens. So he's trying to force him to like trade pieces with queen c5. I hadn't looked at it that way. Again, I'm not against trading pieces. Like if white just makes a normal move here, like bishop e2, knight takes e4, again, I'm happy to trade queens. I don't care. Or pawn takes, queen b4 check, queen d2. White is a tiny bit better in this endgame. I mean, he's not in any danger of being worse. With the knight on b6 and all of your pawns on the wrong color, black is going to have to grovel for a draw here. Seriously. So this is like a really strange move. I mean, rook c1. It's not the worst move ever. I mean, maybe you can bring the knight back to b1 or something. And now knight takes d4. But clearly white's point was, to discourage this. You're doing it anyway. He can also take with the queen. So yeah, I don't like queen c5 in the first place. I guess rook c1 wasn't so bad, actually. Knight takes d4, c takes d4, queen b4 check, queen d2. And now a5 kind of out of the question. So we have to trade and then grovel. Trade and grovel. Grovel trade. I'm praying mantis. Black's bishop is on the wrong color in endgame, is it not? It's not the bishop's on the wrong color. The pawns are on the wrong color. It's not the bishop's fault. He was born as a light square bishop. How could you say he's on the wrong color? Poor bishop. That's the way he was born. Those stupid pawns, it's the pawn's fault for putting themselves on the wrong color. Still, the knight on b6 is a travesty, right? And we're passive. King d2, bishop d7. This can be dealt with. Both sides have a bad knight, but I think the white knight is easier to fix. White has f5 break, potentially. White needs to think about prophylaxis, though. Probably no need for, like, b3. I wonder... After king e7. I wonder if white should consider going for f5. But this... By the way, like, black's idea is to be able to meet rook c7 with rook b8 and then use the king to oust that rook. The EB even Emery Tate's favorite, knight a8. So he played rook c7. No, rook c7, I don't know, man. I think you want to do something more constructive here. How about h4? I think white needs to play, like, both sides of the board. I want to play g4. What if I start with h4? That way, like, g6, you're screwed, right? h5. So you almost have to play, like, h5, and then, just have all of your pawns on the wrong color. True, it might hold. Or you ignore it, h4 also could be, like, rook here. and across. So I think that white... Where's my viewers? It's only our closest friends. Mr. Coffee, Camel Culture. What a small, very tight group here. Tight knit. Move 11, are you there? And no leaving. Once you join the stream, you're not allowed to leave. Dude, I need some, like, bots or something. Praying Mantis, be a subscriber. Someone make Praying Mantis a subscriber. By the way, we have a new stream boss because Mr. Coffee died. I mean, his stream boss died. And Gabble Troll Mops became the new... Health Bar Roll Mops became the new stream boss. So anyways, not an exciting game, but this isn't playing on both sides. Rook b8, rook c1. It's too routine by white. Now it's going to be like, okay, can I take on h7? Probably not. But watch that it doesn't happen later after the rooks come off. Rook takes. Yeah, white played lamely. He needs to start a second front on the king side. There's no way Aliakin is doubling rooks and trading all the rooks off here with white. And this is a draw, but I mean, okay, white is better and black has to be careful. It should be a draw, I believe. Okay, Karpov, a lot of players going to win. We can come in here maybe. It's still a little bit scary. Okay, I have knight a7, knight c6 maybe. I like saying maybe a lot. The threat of taking on h7 can be met by g6, but is it fast enough? Let's calculate this. Bobby Fischer, g6, h4, king f8, h5, king g7. Alright, it's not possible to take the pawn, but it might be in the future. g4. Am I threatening to take the pawn? He plays h6. h4. Good. Fine. f6. Knight c2. And now knight a7. Yes. And then king e3. And white was just very solid. So this was an exciting game, boys and girls. Camel Culture gifted a tier on sub to Praying Mantis. Man, Camel, thank you. You took down the Roll-Mop's health to 45-45, the 45-45 league. Thank you, Camel Culture. All right, now Praying Mantis, long-time viewer, is back recently. So the plan isn't just knight c6. He found bishop e5. White is still slightly better spatially. Not an auto draw. Yeah, he doesn't want to trade bishops. Good decision by white. And then, man, make sure your bishop doesn't get trapped. We want to play a5 here. I would think a5. You're okay. It should be a draw. The structure is symmetrical. a5 is greater than knight d8. This is an extremely passive move. a5 is constructive. I mean, you're putting your pawns on the right color, giving your bishop retreat square back to there. Nothing to worry about. You know, white will probably just play like a3, b6. Everybody's happy. You know, b4. White should probably think about moving the king back over here before he plays like b4. Okay, there's a lot going on, but objectively it's a draw. Knight d8, not the greatest move. This is a very strange decision, man. I mean, I get it that you're trading the bishops, but I don't love giving white that space. I mean, he could trade bishops and play for a win here. He has a little bit more space. I would be a little bit concerned that you might be risking here. But okay, it's probably not lost. Bishop e8. If he's going to play for win, he has to trade. That's it. I mean, I think to be consistent, you should probably play bishop e8 here. By the way, like, what happens if you play bishop e8 and white plays h5? Do we like that, really? I'm a little uncomfortable. Yeah, maybe not. So, anyway, it's a draw. It was an exciting game. Okay, I really couldn't, control myself. You had some bad games like that in the French. French I like better than the Caro-Kann. Because at least in the Caro-Kann, again, the French you can win sometimes. Alright, now, onward and upward. We got a gift sub, a donation today. Wow. The ambulances are here. Tomorrow I'm going to try to wake up. I've had a very bad week with sleep, but I'm going to try to wake up and stream around midday. Do some blitz challenges. I've got a couple more games here. Our Director versus Timer22. I don't know why the ambulances need to like run their sirens in the night when there's like no traffic. It's really annoying. Okay, save chapter, flip. Here we go. So we're white. Oops. Dutch. Wow, what is this? 2300? It's a Dutch Grunfeld. Now that I've never seen before. The Grunfeld Dutch. Check this out. It's the Grunfeld. This is crazy. Your opponent played what? Hold on, right back. Alright, now it's stopped. I was going to close the door. As a chess player, you guys have this? That, like, noises drive you crazy? I find, like, noises drive me crazy because I'm like, shh, it's the library. Being a chess player and being able to concentrate in those, like, thousands of tournament games with, like, total silence has made me, like, hysterical when there's, like, annoying sounds outside. Like, most people don't have that, unless they're, like, academics who study in the library, like, research room or something. Alright, so this is absurd. Black played d5. That's absurd. That's an absurd move. That's, like, literally absurd. You are absurd. That's a horrible move by Black. CCC absolutely forced, destroying his center. So he's playing like the Marshall defense with like f5 illegally thrown in there. Queen takes d5, knight c3. God, this is like a total beginner. Queen c6 now. You need to explain to me why you didn't play e4 here. This guy is like trolling you or something. He must be trolling you. The best parts of the, yeah. With the stone, all the weaknesses of the stone wall with none of the security. Well, at least his bishop isn't as bad now. He can get out with bishop d7, bishop a4. So our Director, while g3 isn't a bad move, I think that you want to, like, take advantage of the fact that you haven't played g3 yet, I mean, this is not to play for a cheapo. It's not about playing for cheapos. This is kind of like a almost accidental threat, but it's important because without that we can't play this move. This cheapo enables us to play e4, and now we have like the best Steinitz. What's it called? Steinitz. Both start with S. We have the best Staunton Gambit ever after e4. It's Staunton Gambit Nightmare variation with like +3 for white probably. So you play g3, you go from +3 to like +1, +1.5. Black plays bishop e6, and now this is probably still strong. But alright, I'll give you credit for this. And now this gives me more feeling that your opponent is like trolling. He's playing ridiculous stuff to kind of be a troll. And you can take that. and you don't have to. It's a little bit like a Catalan, one of those Catalans where black plays like bishop d7, bishop takes c6, like a Fort Knox type thing, and trades on f3. You're guaranteed to get the bishop, more or less. So you don't have to take it now, but I guess if you don't take it, maybe he'll play e6 and make it part of his Stonewall, This is awful by black. Clock players. Yeah, no, black is definitely... He has 9:56 left after playing like 5 trash moves. So 95, again, you could wait, and this is like as good or better than taking on d5. But, whatever. I like to maintain as much flexibility as possible. So, whatever. Okay, you play knight takes d5. I guess he's going to take with the knight. Because honestly, he's close to losing by force after queen takes. This looks a little too close to like losing b7. But I guess true, he's got to move. Okay, you gotta castle first. So why doesn't he play c6 here? I mean, under the circumstances. Maybe there's a problem there, huh? Knight e5 and queen b3. Answer that question. So he plays queen d8. Now he has no development. And you played queen b3, which is definitely not bad. But man, this is like, wow. Knight e5 is very tempting. Knight g5 is very tempting. So you have these 3 ideas, basically. Here, here, and here. While we want to develop at the same time, all of these moves are probably decent. If, for example, knight g5, c6, queen b3, knight d5, I mean, b7's hanging with no compensation. This is really a no-brainer. Queen b3 gives him this move. The other one is knight e5. He has to defend, b7. And you've got this again. You covered d5. You got it again. I think this is better than going queen b3. Queen b3 is inaccurate because of the move he played. Although you're probably winning here anyway. If you take, and he takes, don't you have a concrete move here with knight h4? Maybe he has some sort of counterplay. Not really. He has to just give you the f-pawn. This looks disastrous for black. e6, knight takes f5. So your play is too routine. Need to be incisive. Just because this guy is an idiot, it doesn't use any time, makes bad moves, doesn't mean you need to be an idiot and not use time. After queen d5, what you did is probably okay, but it's like the 3rd or 4th best move, objectively. Take the concrete win. You could also move your queen again. I'm certain, this is probably fine. But take the concrete win here. Easy. No defense. It's a clear pawn, plus you have the 2 bishops. Plus you have the better structure. You have 3 advantages. 3 advantages. Bishop f4 just routinely developing. He messes up your pawn structure. The a file helps a little bit, but you've offset your advantages by having these doubled pawns. So he's a little bit back in the game. c6, and you can win a pawn with bishop b8. It's a little greedy. This is like my 2nd tournament ever I did that. With bishop f5, bishop takes b1, and a Caro-Kann. I was really proud of myself because I won a pawn. But I almost got my queen trapped in the process. But this is a huge concession, although maybe it's your best option at this point. You still have some very strong looking moves, like here, Invasive Species Act. You have this and this. I think that black's going to have to play an extremely awkward move here with maybe king d7. I don't know. So my feeling is that you're playing too fast, but okay, at this point you did use your time. That's really weird. Okay, you played bishop f4, he played queen b3. You spent 3 minutes on a takes b. What the hell? I think you went to the bathroom during that move. Okay, c6, and now bishop takes, and now rook takes a7, but it's, your margin for error here is not that big. Yeah, black's position is still pretty bad, though. This is a problem. You have no bad pieces. And opposite color bishops are decent here. So it's not like he's just going to draw. This is still, for the like 100th time, still very strong. The main point being, of course, you have this, and here, probably his best move. You might have tactics. Yeah, it looks like knight f7, rook g8, and knight e5. Check. Not easy for black to meet that. I guess he can kind of hang on. But this position is really dubious. So e6, rook fa1, this is good. Here, black played like an idiot in this game. Now you played the fancy move, rook takes b7. Fancy and good. Rook takes, rook check, king f7, rook takes h8. So now there could be a problem with the b3 pawn. You know, I'm concerned. Maybe this wasn't best. I think you should go for something more stable. In retrospect, unless you've got something concrete there, can we improve this advantage? Here, 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 here. Why did he go there, by the way? Why would you choose to go to f7? Why not e7? Because he doesn't want to lose c6 with check, maybe? He doesn't want this with check? Huh. But I mean, it's even worse. It seems even worse with the king on f7. Bishop f8 now, trapping your rook. Oh my god, he's a tactical wizard. And then knight e5, check. Here, check. And that's why you put the king on f7. Okay. Yeah, not a great game by black, obviously. Game over, man. All right. So then our last topic of conversation tonight is something that Move 11, I don't know if Move 11's here. Move 11, let us know you're here. Drop a gift sub. Drops enabled. Damn, I have 8 viewers. They must have taken all the bots offline. Introvert Chess is streaming. She's okay. Alright. So what are we doing? You're amazed at how he played. Well, no, I mean, they're trolling you, you know. That was a troll game. I mean, the guy is just like trolling people. Sometimes people do that just for fun. They try to see how weird they can play and get away with it. It's just a blitz game, ultimately. I like to play like h4 with white, you know. Where's my study? Okay, studies. Move 11, are you still here? So we're going to take a look at a question. Move 11 asked me about, this line of the 4 knights Sicilian. E4 for black, C5, knight f3, E6, D4, CD4, knight D4, knight f6, knight C3, knight C6. Because this opening for black is it's very self-contained. Like if you're trying to learn a new system in the Sicilian, actually Mr. Slow, who has had a problem and hasn't been on the stream in like months, unfortunately was a regular participant in our analysis streams, hasn't been able to make it lately. he actually submitted some games by Geller and Velimirovich and people like that with this move bishop e2. This is a very classical Sicilian move. So the question is, how should black handle like bishop e2? Because the main line is this, and it's all very like long and forcing. Knight takes e6, b takes e6, e5, knight e5, knight e5, knight e4, etc. Right? And that's a long variation with tons of theory, but the question is, if black's playing for a win, how do we play this now? Move 11 was like, he wasn't sure about this main move, because move 11 thought the issue here would be this gambit line. I don't know which one you said, like here. Bishop takes c3, b takes c, knight takes e4. I had analyzed this, I think, Firouzja Grishuk. Bishop d3. Maybe this isn't like an ideal way for black to play for a win, ultimately. So the question is, how do we play for a win against this bishop e2? Move 11 said, should I play bishop e4, the main line? Or, should I think about maybe, is it okay to transpose to the Scheveningen? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with transposing the Scheveningen. This is a main line Scheveningen position. It's a classical, I would say it's a classical Scheveningen. So, absolutely, that's fine, but it's a lot to learn, and the Scheveningen is very complex, requires a lot of theoretical knowledge. Camel culture with the game. How do I have 5 viewers? Like, seriously, that's not possible, brah. There's no way we only have 5 viewers. Are people stupid? They're not that stupid, are they? Oh yeah, they voted for Donald Trump. God damn. Fuck, I totally forgot. Alright. D6 Camel culture, thank you. Alright, game. We got a game. Birds opening, nice. Oh, love the birds opening. Birds opening Dutch variation, obviously. Double Dutch? Oh, I keep trying to copy like the wrong thing here. Alright, let's do that. Copy. Thanks, Camel culture. NM. Alright, learn, study, my studies. Analysis. Add chapter here. Yeah. Why does it give me the option to orientation black? Okay, create chapter. Okay, it's in. Herman Munster. You get that joke all the time. Alright. We're up to 11. I complained there were no bots and we got 11 viewers. Just like that. I think Camel Culture submitted a game, we got 5 viewers just because he has so many like groupies. Anyway, let's finish this analysis so before we get to Camel Culture. So the question is what to do with black against bishop e2. I was wondering if black had any other options here. You could play anything. I mean, you could play like d5 if you wanted to. You could play... I was wondering about a6. Bishop e2 is a very quiet move, so it gives black a wide variety of options for things to do here. I was wondering about bishop c5. This has no games. Presumably it takes e5 with Thempoville. Alright, so bishop c5 is not really an option. We can play d6, we can play d5, we can play, although d5 is not a winning try. We can play, I was wondering about a6. This is a worse version of this, probably. Though a6 is playable. Queen c7. Queen c7 an option. I actually had this game with a kid last year where I was white. but I can't remember the order of moves now. Something similar though. It was like a time and odd move order though. He must have played. Yeah, he must have played Queen C7 earlier, and then played Knight F6. So this is like a transposition, right? We would go time and odd move order, and then play Knight F6 for black. Maybe this is a really. There was this guy from Harvard Square, Murray Turnbull. He was a master. He used to play the people in Harvard Square for money for years and years. Murray liked the Paulson, Taimanov stuff. Queen C7 gives you the flexibility where you're not committing to a Scheveningen. I think this is worth exploring. You know, Bishop E7 doesn't have a lot of. Bishop E7 doesn't have a lot of, how to say, independent value. You know, I can't imagine Bishop E7 is a great move. It's not terrible. D5 also not great. A6 not great. Queen B6. I'm skeptical. So I think that, yeah, legit here. It looks like Queen C7 is our best alternative. This could very likely and will very likely transpose to a Scheveningen later, but we have independent possibilities. But I wanted to take a quick look at Bishop E4, and the reason why I want to look at Bishop E4 is because I want to determine what are Black's realistic. You know, Black can equalize here, I think, but realistically, this is the most active move. But are there any winning chances for Black? So Black does well after knight takes c6. But after this gambit, in this gambit line, I also want to mention there's the move Queen D3, which is also old school, you know, take with the queen on c3, or maybe not. Maybe even still, the queen has lateral mobility here. This is a very, very well-known line. You know, so I guess at the end of the day, I mean, maybe Bishop E4 is a little overrated. But the Scheveningen is not easy to play. So, I mean, the more I look at it, the more I'm leaning toward Queen C7. So let's see, what's the point, okay? This move, Queen B8, it doesn't really change a lot. But the main move would probably be, what, castles, right? And then what do we do? So now you have these other options. We went over a lot of Velimirovich games where Velimirovich played white in such positions. Bishop E7 is a move. Knight takes D4 is a move, obviously. Queen takes D4. Geller games, too. I also did some Geller games in a series. This is a very standard line. Geller has some very nice games with white, but I think that Black is okay as well. But winning with Black here, yeah, not so easy against Bishop E2. Is there any other weird ideas we can come up with? G6 now. There doesn't seem to be like any real point to this. We force white to exchange knights. Take back with the B pawn. Skembris has a game, but this actually looks kind of lame for white. Why can't white play like E5 now? I guess it's a good question. It's the best move. Odd. So this apparently is the best. Knight on DB5. Anatoly Weisser against my friend Javier in 2000. Wow, this is bad for Black. So Queen B6 is just concretely bad. It's almost like a cheapo. Wow. Just threatening Knight D6 check. So Queen B6 isn't even really playable. So yeah, it's Queen C7 or nothing. No easy answers here. I don't really like transposing. I'd rather play Queen C7 than transpose the Scheveningen. The Scheveningen is quite passive. That's why I stopped playing it. So I think this is your best alternative. The other move, a6, is absolutely playable, but what about knight takes c6? What's the deal here with this? You're playing like one of these like standard variations, except white has bishop e2 and you've played a6 for black. So let's take a look at this. Yeah, not good. Oh my god. Black's best move according to the computer is, yeah, this is not good. Wow, black's best move is c5, and that's a novelty. Okay, nah, this is not good. a6 is no good. The engine prefers bishop b4, but I think that queen c7 is a solid alternative. Okay, that's enough. Let's go to our last game here. Herman Klutcher. Herman Klutcher, it's called, what's the opening called? Wait. It called itself what? Dutch variation? Ah. So f4 d5. Okay. You're black, the player's playing the birds. And this is an OTB game. I like playing the birds in Blitz. But I mean, it's specifically prefer to play it against like e4 players. You're a d4 player, or you're capable of playing d4. So it's not that effective against you. I feel like, non-d4 players are like playing d5 because they feel like they're supposed to, but they may not be like that familiar with playing the white side of the Dutch. You're a player who knows how to play the white side of the Dutch. Of course, I'm like Hungarian. Okay. Start speaking Hungarian. Yeah. The effectiveness of the birds, I think, is lost if you're not getting like e4 players playing, an unfamiliar position. So anyways, black's best options are like the Fromm's Gambit, c5, or if you're a good queen pawn player, then d5 is fine. Knight f3, you play g6. Yeah, I often move on 18. You played a kid. He played bad, but then tactics made me confused. Man, kid playing the birds? That's weird. Alright. Either has a bad coach or he's self-taught. Knight f3, g6, g3. He probably plays the Leningrad Dutch with black. G6, g3, bishop g7, bishop g2. So now you played c5. And, your options are less. I mean, I wonder. There's a lot of things you can do, obviously. I mean, like bishop g4, for example. It's kind of like sometimes we can try to take advantage of being a tempo behind. Bishop g4 is worth considering. I mean, there's a lot of things you play. I've played everything. I mean, knight h6. But, yeah, this is standard. So g6, g3, bishop g7, bishop g2. Keep thinking. You don't like c5 right away? Because maybe, Lyosh, welcome. Maybe you could try to, rip them a new one with this sort of like g3, knight c6, bishop g2, h5 type of stuff. Can you do that here? Can we do that like a tempo? That's weird. No one has tried to do this. Play it in reverse. Play it again, Sam. The very effective system with white, but maybe playing it like with colors reversed is I'm really, really surprised that no one has actually played this, to be honest, in an over-the-board game. But then maybe white also used a lot of other move orders and stuff. They can play d3, for example, try to talk you out of it. Here's Heinrich Danielson, who I played 2 years ago. Yeah, h5. You can do that. Anyway, just ideas, you know. How to kill the Dutch. G3, bishop G7, bishop G2. Obviously, you don't have to play C5. It's fine. But you know, you're going into a standard Dutch line. White plays D3 now. Your tempo up in a standard Dutch. I don't know if you want to play. Is it ideal to play a line that's probably like standard for this kid with colors reversed? Practically speaking, you know, B3 after C5. Oh, B3 after C5. F4, B3. Yeah, that happened. I did that once. Oof. I lost to a 2100. Oh, knight F3, B3. Yeah, knight F3, C5, B3. Yeah, the Larson, the Bird Larson is pretty bad. I lost a horrible game with white. I like hung a piece or something. Yeah, it's playable, but it's not something I would be afraid of. I think the B3 is only really good. It's only really good when black has played E6, you know? Otherwise, it's like lame. You're going to just do the exact same thing you would do with white. Knight C6. Like here, or maybe E3. Maybe he tries E3. I don't care. Knight F6. If bishop B5, bishop D7, it's equal. If bishop B2, you go like G6 probably. I mean, that's the best he can do. I certainly wouldn't fear that. You know, I don't think you have anything to fear. But it's fine, okay. I just don't know if we're doing the right thing objectively, transposing to what the guy probably knows. Maybe his main line with black. Knight F6, now he plays Knight C3. So he's clearly trying to play the Knight C6 line, a tempo up here. Now you played D4. Oh, these lines are very confusing. So Knight E4 is like standard with reverse colors. But this guy's going Knight A4, so this is apparently like a known line. You have an alternative when you're playing white with what? Queen D3, Queen D6. I'm trying to remember, I think Ilincic or someone, I remember playing this. It's a lot like a King's Indian. And if they try to do C4, you take. Why can't you take en passant? Oh wow, this doesn't work here. This is insane. Oh my god. I was going to say you take, and everything's fine. But they have a crazy move now, E4. Oh my god. This has never been played. Look at this. That's crazy. You cannot take en passant. If C4, this is Lagarde versus Arkle. Queen D6. You know, that's interesting. Queen D6, C4 castles. So Queen D6 is good. It's a good alternative. I mean, I guess sometimes they can do these weird things like Knight E5. This isn't going to fly here. If you look at the opening explorer, it's interesting. Queen D6 is better. Not according to the opening explorer. I mean the engine likes Queen D6 better at first. Now it's going to B6. Wow, that's almost a novelty. You know this is a line with reverse colors. Shit, it happened in one game. 2025, guys. Knight E5. You sack the exchange. Now F takes E5 hasn't been tested, but black has Knight D5 there. So that looks okay. But bishop takes A8. Knight EG4. And obviously it's not easy to evaluate this. Bishop check. I don't know if this is an over-the-board game or a correspondence. Doesn't really matter. Black played king f8. Guess black's going to play h5. I would anticipate h5, h4. So castling doesn't matter for black. This is very sharp. But not easy to call, you know, if you're like playing this position for the first time. But you might want to look at reverse lines, you know, and see how that works when you're playing against the normal Dutch with white. This looks fine. Because I don't love like blocking my bishop. It's also really close to the King's Indian, like Pano variations. Clearly. C3 now, an almost novelty, which is weird because he's like getting his knight trapped with b5. How is he not getting his knight trapped here with b5? You think he seriously has knight e5? Boy, this is going to be complicated. Just what happens if c4, alright? White generally plays c4, black doesn't, you know, do anything fancy. But I'm curious if any players actually took. This is played. You know, and so you get this, and I mean, honestly, like, this f-pawn, it's a King's Indian, but you play like f4. Okay, black's knight is on d7, that's not great. And I think this is okay for black, minimum. Like a low-risk way of playing. With your queen on d6, you getting forked, and the queen can be kind of awkward, but this looks okay. That's like a safe, simple way to play. They could also take with the pawn. Then you have b5 for real. Alright, so that's a possibility. People have played knight g5 here. Oh my god, that's crazy. This Lars Carlsen, I never played him. Lars Carlsen is like Swedish. And Heinrich Danielsen is from Iceland. These are the only people who play like the Birds opening at Grandmaster level. I wonder if that's a coincidence. Or those guys are like friends or something. Knight g5 is unbelievable. Alright. So anyway, the guy plays c3. This is a very weird move. Is that somehow, is that connected to doing like queen b3 and knight g5? Bluffing tactically, so... Well, obviously you have to calculate b5. This shouldn't be that hard, you know. You're obviously capable. So what does the guy have here? He like... Does he have something weird like knight takes d4? Does that work? Knight d4, pawn d4, bishop takes c6. But the point is, like, his knight is trapped, right? I mean, like, here, you're winning a piece. You're not winning a piece here. Oh my god. It's unclear. Queen b6. So that's kind of weird. But obviously there's also knight e5, which is makes your head hurt. Knight e5. Bishop takes a8. But ultimately his knight is trapped. This is even worse for him, right? Here. His knight is really trapped here. This shouldn't be that difficult. The other variation looks more interesting. Knight takes d4. Does that work? Here, 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 here. We got nothing. So I'm cheating and checking with the engine now. Now there's some stuff here. There's some stuff here. This kid, I don't know, man. This could be some kind of like very sophisticated trap. It turns out that it's the Lars Carlsen move that's the best. Yeah, so okay, your instincts were like not to go for b5. It's very strange after knight to g5 looks very, very unclear. I probably would have missed that, honestly. I was looking purely at like this, which is the second best move. But he's really begging you to play it, so it is suspicious, you know. But whatever. I'm telling you, you can play like pawn takes pawn, man, and you're fine. You know, this guy's got nothing special. That's what I would do. Because he's got a retarded pawn on f4. Why is his pawn on f4? You know what I mean? Why is his pawn on f4? I don't understand why his pawn is on f4. He's playing like a normal King's Indian Yugoslav variation or whatever, but he's played like f4. I don't know. I want to take it back and put it on f2. If you had a pawn on d6 or something, then it would be okay. But I mean, now, you know, this is kind of awkward for him. He can't play like e4 without having a backward pawn. So he's going to have to play like John Curto, you know, castles knight h4 or something. What's he going to do? Like here and f5? I think this is a very low risk way for you to play. That's what I would do. Alright, so you castled. He plays c takes d4. Now obviously you could take with a knight. Again, kind of a lower risk approach, but objectively your move's probably correct. I mean, you're keeping the threat of trapping his knight, right? But I mean, again, you zero losing chances realistically here. f4 doesn't help him. I think it blocks his bishop on c1. So for example, whereas in the King's Indian, putting your rook on b8 might be a problem, you know, because he'll always have this annoying bishop f4. Here you can just like put your rook on b8 and be like, what are you going to do? I'm going to play b6 and I can sit here, and you have this stupid structure with your pawn on f4. Against the kid, I think that might be best. So this is like, okay, a more critical test. He plays b3. That's an awful move. So whoever Peter Fry is, I mean, there's this idea, right, that they can stack things on the c file. If you try to play b5, there's this. Not to mention the long diagonal. But, you know, for example, if you can go like here, you might be able to just simply win back the piece, you know, by pinning them, the two pieces on the c file. So b3 is like ridiculous. Clearly that the guy's move is good, you know, bishop d2 is way better. Plus the ideas of like b4 maybe. b3 is horrible. Your opponent doesn't know what he's doing. He wants to fianchetto his knight. Now I gotta admit that I gotta think like you're in good shape. You gotta be very strongly tempted to play b5 now. But again, he has that thing. I mean, what's he gonna do? Like put his queen on c2? You can't do that. You got this. I figure you're winning a piece here. So he's gonna have to like fianchetto his knight, and he's just clearly worse. I mean, he's gonna lose if you go knight d5, you know, knight c3. b3 is horrendous, but your move is weird. You know, I think that you're going the wrong way here with e5. His knight on a4 is suspicious. At the very minimum, you play like rook b8, and you're clearly better. I would think you're clearly better. I mean, I don't know how you're not. Maybe he has some moves, some weird moves like this. I don't know. Rook b8 is like low risk, but I still want to know what has he got here? I don't understand. Whatever he does, you know, I don't know, knight e5, you could just like probably deal with it. Takes. Easier said than done, huh? Now we probably take, he takes. I mean, at the worst case scenario, you'd end up in this sort of situation where you're probably better. This king looks very strange. The e5 I don't love, you know. I don't love e5. I mean, It looks like you're kind of like freeing that bishop. It's a sort of normal move in the normal Leningrad, where you're white, but you're like setting it up. Your knight's on f6, your rook's on e8 or something. Here, I don't think in this position it's that great. So he takes, you take this way, and the position is just kind of random now. But main thing is that this is totally wrong. You know, this is totally wrong. The knight on a4 and the pawn on b3. The way he's played it is wrong. And the question is, like, how do you punish it? You know that's wrong. You know what he did is wrong, and you need to find a way to punish it. You know, just use logic. b5 is the way to punish it. You got to make it work tactically. Can you prepare it somehow? Maybe. What if you just, like, go back? I mean, even, like, going back to f6, knight c5, knight e5, you're better. What is he going to do? If you play knight f6, what's he going to do? Like this? You're going to play this. Maybe knight e5, but you're still better, right? Maybe knight f6 is the simplest thing to do. You could play anything. Knight b6, right? Okay, I'll trade your knight off, but I'm still better. This is probably close to equal, but still, only you can be better. Yeah, I don't like e5. Takes, knight c5. You've always got to watch the F file, but you also have this, so it's hard to call. I think you're also concerned about bishop a3. Another okay, reasonable move. Now he might have b4. You play queen e7 because you didn't want to play it before, but he has b4. Why not a5? This will be somewhat weakening. It could be like, okay, a5, rook b1, you know, queen e7, b4, takes, we get kind of the same thing, although I don't even know if this works for him tactically. You know, you're probably like winning a pawn or something. So a5 preventing b4 is an idea. Of course, you might throw it in here. Maybe you do it now. Why don't you do it now? What does he do? He has some trick? I don't know what he's going to do after a5. He doesn't have anything special. He might have to sack a pawn. Like, what is he going to do? Knight a4 and come in here? Did you see this? You have a lot of good options. That might be the case. Let's see what you did. You went knight g4. But this looks very concrete. Just doesn't look like he has a good move there. Maybe queen b3? Yeah, but the a file is opening. He can't just ignore that. Maybe here? Maybe he tries bishop b2, then that's where it gets worse, though. I think a5 is good, man. But okay, this might be good, too. I don't like it quite as much. So knight g5, he has this f7. You went in. You're like... Figure you're winning, right? You figure you're just winning? Dude. This is crazy. Queen b3, knight takes f1, knight takes f7. Dude. This guy is insane. Wow. b4. You notice how your knight protects f7. Just wanted to point that out. Okay. Better to be safe than sorry. Knight g4. Knight g5. Though this is pretty unbelievable. Knight e3. Now if he takes, he loses a piece, so it's not hard to find this move. And now you have another knight, but the other knight is a little late. The other knight arrives on the scene defending f7. It looks kind of late. I mean, he could take on e3. You take back, and white's pieces are quite active, and your bishop isn't that great. So what happens now? You take his rook, and he goes here. Oh my god. Now what are we going to do? Like king f8 or something? Oh my god. King f8? What is he threatening? I don't know what to do. I want to play knight back to e3. What is a perpetual? Oh no. He'll have a perpetual. He's not threatening smothered mate, I hope. Do you have another move like bishop e6? You don't have that, do you? Bishop e6, knight e6, queen e6, bishop d5. What the hell is going on here? Knight e6, queen e6, bishop d5. That's enough to give you a headache. But I think your king could hide out on f8, right? Some crazy variation like this. I don't know. This is insane. Yeah, I would be terrified. I wouldn't do that. So he takes on f7. You do the sensible thing. A sensible thing. Here, oh my god, bishop f6. Bishop f6, queen f6. Rook takes f1, oh my god. Bishop f5. Knight d7. Oh my god, bro. So what's the final result here? You lost a pawn and your king is like compromised? Oh my god. Wow. So, yeah, I keep thinking, like, is there a way out of this? You know, is there a way out of this before it gets out of control? Like, where do you draw the line? Can you play without ridiculous amounts of risk here? You know, I think, well, it all started, like, you kind of started it with knight g4. But can you end the war in Iran here somehow? After queen b3. Seriously, what's black's best move? I want to know what the computer says is the best move. You're winning. Okay, knight f1, knight f7. The computer wants to take. Holy shit. Why? Because you have knight h3 check? Check this out. Okay, I also didn't see this. You have bishop d5, and knight h3 check. I'm hallucinating. That's a move. You have to play bishop e6. Yeah, that's weird. So you have this hallucination too. He's given up too much material. So it's all like bullshit. Yeah, that's annoying, man. At the end of the day, like, your move and my move are about the same. Your move is actually good. Gooder than mine. A5 is safer. You know, obviously. It's safer. Yeah. This guy just bamboozled you. It's unbelievable. Knight g5. It should lose. But I also didn't think you could allow bishop d5. Man, that's annoying. Knight f1, knight f7, and then you have to play queen f7, bishop d5, and then, like, yeah, obviously you can't sack your queen. So you have to play this, and I missed this too. Because on bishop takes, you just sack back. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of fried, but I mean, I might have realized it over the board. Depends on the time control, you know. Ugh, that's horrible. The guy's so bullshit, man. Yeah, doesn't it hurt to lose to somebody like that? Did you lose? Or was it a draw? It was a draw. Thank God you didn't lose. So anyway, after all this bullshit, he gets to this, and he gets a pawn up endgame. Now here, like, you don't really have an option. So this is all pretty forced. And I don't see any reason to avoid the exchange of rooks. Here your only hope is just a little kid. And kids are usually weaker in endgames. But obviously, you know, you're worse here. You're a pawn down. And maybe it is a draw, I don't know. You do have this big check on e3. But I mean, I would imagine there's some way for white to play for a win here. He's like winning. King f1 is winning. Immediately he does this, which is a concession, but okay. Check. And he gives you a draw. Does he have to allow perpetual? He was afraid of you. Here. Check. King f2 is a draw. So bishop takes c6 is a bad move. Then it's a draw after that. That's funny, you have queen takes e2. Did you notice that? That's crazy. You can play queen takes e2. Check, king f1. Check. King f2. Check. And so he has to play king e1 to try to win. King e1 to try to win. Queen g1 check. King d2. Queen e3 check again. King d1. Sorry, king d1. Takes. Well, I mean, this is not going to be easy for a kid, you know. You probably have good chances to draw. But he was like, oh, a pawn against a master in an endgame. But again, it all depends on the time control. I mean, it turned out that your move was better than mine. But you're not a computer, you know. I guess you have to find your limits, you know. But it looks like you got sucked into this like craziness that, you know, no one could calculate perfectly. But I think that the being aware, you know, the f7 is a problem. Maybe it's a question of how to play like practically against kids or players who tend to just play for tactics or whatever. I feel like you could have played, like, if we go back to, you know, before you play d5, the other point here, you know, where this is a risky decision. You're like opening the position where you don't really need to, because he's already compromised, like his c3, this is so bad. You could probably beat him much more easily. I wouldn't have given him any play, you know. I'm just coming back to f6 and coming to d5. What is he going to do about that, you know? I mean, you can play in a way that's like lower risk, basically. So they have to learn what works for you. Anyway, all right. Thanks for the game, Common Culture. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, avoid the tactics with little kids. Now you're getting to be a senior, so, you know, you have to adapt to being old. I'm learning to adapt to be, yeah, I was very aggressive when I was your age. I had a much more aggressive style, but like the more strong players you play, the more you get beat down. And like Uber Driver will tell you. Then you learn to adopt the Dan Harrington approach of a very safe play, you know. Dan Harrington and I are both former Boylston Chess Club champions. Bet you didn't know that. All right. Anyway, I'll see you guys. See you guys tomorrow. And Uber Driver, welcome. Happy Uber driving. And I'll see you guys Friday as well as Sunday. Sunday is simul time change for me, and That's the same time. 6:30 p.m. CE. It'll be CEST. Central European Summertime.